Welcome into the DNVR Rockies Podcast. I am your host, Patrick Lyons, and on today's show, we're talking prospects. Still minor league Monday. I know the regular season just ended in AAA and for all of the minor leagues, but prospects are still going strong. Arizona Fall League coming up here in about a week. We've got Forest Stulting, Media Relations Manager for the Albuquerque Isotopes, to talk about their great season and nearly making it to the playoffs and all the great fans that are going in there. And here we've got him now. Forrest, how you doing today, man? You finally can catch your breath just a little bit, can't you?
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Doing great. Thanks for having me. It's definitely was a lot of fun this season, but it's going to be nice to take a little bit of a rest for a little while. That's for sure.
Yes, I'm in the process of trying to maybe get some rest. I was in Chicago at the end of the show. I'll kind of talk about some takeaways from the Cubs series and whatnot. Takeaways for you for the Isotopes. I mean, I think the biggest thing, besides the fact that could have been the first postseason appearance for the Isotopes as a affiliate of the Rockies, but just the fans in Albuquerque. Tip of the cap to them, because over 500,000, nearly 7,000 on average every game when it's cold in April and when it's super hot and baking in August. I mean, Albuquerqueans, they love their baseball in the Duke City.
That's 100%, man. They showed out this year. We led the Pacific Coast League in both total attendance, over 500,000, and average attendance with 7,048 per contest. We finished fifth in all minor league baseball, which is the highest we've ever finished in all minor league baseball, all 120 affiliates. Each and every night they come back in the park. They bring a whole bunch of energy. It's always a great atmosphere at the yard. So you can't thank them enough for how much they've supported us this year.
Yeah, the Isotopes brand is so strong. Like, forgetting the on-field, off-the-field stuff is amazing. It's second to none. You know, I feel like in the past they used to release some of the numbers on, you know, jersey sales and shirts and hats, and like, you guys just always crank out new stuff. Even after once the mariachis launched, I got this literally on the day that.
Yeah, it's looking fresh, man.
Yes. I don't. Do you guys still sell this hat? Is this like a limited edition one? Should I be putting this on eBay for $75 or something?
I don't remember seeing it in the team store, but we have a whole bunch of other hats for sale with the Mariachis logo on there. I mean, it seems like every single year our staff's coming up with something great, keeping it fresh. Like this year, for instance, we have the new chili pepper jerseys, which were gone in about 15 minutes when we sold them on Cinco de Mayo, which is really cool. Those hats went off the shelves really quickly as well. So each year our staff does a great job of coming up with something new and keeping it fresh for the fans. And the fans, they just come on back each time, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a testament to how great of people that, you know, is a part of that organization all the way from the top with Mr. Traub there doing his thing in a big way. Yeah, the red, white, and green, the colors of Mexico there on the mariachis, and then even after the original launch, coming up with that teal version that was just, or turquoise, just absolutely amazing. So
yeah, turquoise is so synonymous with the Southwest, so you had to kind of throw that in there as well.
Yeah, no, that genius. Like, again, you guys do a wonderful job. That continues to happen. All right, on the field, you guys gave out, you know, your awards at the end of the year, and we'll get to, you know, some of the MVPs, and we'll even talk about some of the players that were down in Albuquerque for a short period of time before they came up with the Rockies, Nolan Jones, Elias Montero, and whatnot. But the one guy I want to talk about, because he made so much noise, I feel like, in the second half, and was probably the heart and soul of the team. It seemed like a guy, you know, playing where, you know, there's so many of the prospects that kind of had a quick stop in Albuquerque before going up to the majors. He was there all year long and really led in a big way. And that's Jimmy Herron, you know, fifth in the Pacific Coast League in stolen bases, had some big walk-offs in the final month of the year and nearly got you guys to the PCL postseason. But he's a guy that I think, you know, probably before this year might not have been on the radar for a lot of people. And he definitely is now. he just doing a wonderful job in a big way. And he was a player that the Rockies were able to poach from another organization. I think they acquired him in a trade. But Jimmy Herron, great surprise. I feel like he's one of those names where he comes up and when people hear that, it puts a smile on their face because he did it in a big way in 2023.
That's for sure. I mean, he had a breakout campaign this year. He had set career standards in hits, doubles, RBIs, home runs, and stolen bases. Just an absolute joy to watch. Has phenomenal tools out in the field. Great clubhouse guy. Just extremely puts together great at bats each night. You cannot say enough supporters about Jimmy Herron, that's for sure. So I hope to see him in the big leagues very soon because he's some guy who definitely deserves it. That's for sure.
I know he's from what I hear, one of the more quieter guys in the clubhouse. But hey, sometimes you need players who lead by example in that way, and I think he was able to do that and really, really give a lot of stability to that outfield. Because again, so many guys coming and going, and so it was good.
He can play all three spots. He's an absolute phenomenal defender. The other day, he ran a ball deep in the gap in right center field on the warning track. Didn't think he was going to get there, but somehow Jimmy Herron found a way. So it's just typical Jimmy Herron, if you ask me.
Tell you what, Forrest, the only thing I'm upset about when it comes to Jimmy Herron and the Isotopes is the fact that the slope is not there anymore. Wouldn't you have liked to have seen Jimmy Herron running up the slope there?
I'm sure he could put off some great catches like Jamie Hoffman did back in the day, but it's probably best that it's not there anymore, unfortunately. So I'd like to see him out there in the field, not get injured,
It's true. Yeah, it's better for everyone's safety. Absolutely. MVP of the season, a guy who I kind of had down on my board going back to when he was with the Asheville Tourists in Low A. I was like, hey, there's something here on this guy, and he finally got to get his debut, homered in his major league debut, that being Coco Montes. Was designated for assignment, but I think thankfully for a lot of Rockies fans, he stayed within the organization and just put together another really solid season down in the minors.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He had 22 home runs this year to lead the club. I think that finished 12th in all the Pacific Coast League as well. 27 doubles, just an extra base prowess hitter for sure. Makes super hard contact all the time. Just someone you can rely on at the plate in a clutch situation. Plays all over the infield, second, short, and third as well. Just one of those guys who you can pretty much plug and play, and you know what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job this entire season. So did Aaron Schunk. It kind of seemed like maybe there was only room for one of those guys to maybe make their debut, and I thought maybe Schunk would get a chance here in the final month. As it were, a lot of the offensive players for the Rockies are healthy right now, so that spot didn't really open up. But Aaron Schunk, put together another solid season there over at third base, and is still, a player that can contribute, I think, next year after what he was able to do in 2023.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite tools of a player this year is probably Shunk's arm at third base. Watching him fire that thing across the diamond, man, he has some zip on it. So that was one of my favorite things to watch all year. He's got tons of good at bats, lots of extra base power as well. He's sneaky fast as well too. Can steal you a few bags here and there. Good glove as well. So I mean, he's a really, really complete player all around. But his arm is really what stuck out to me the entire year. Probably the best arm in the infield across the diamond.
I don't remember if there were any blowouts on either side where you're winning or you're trailing, where you had an opportunity for a position player to pitch, because Schunk was a closer at the University of Georgia when he was drafted in 2019. So he could get on the bump and definitely deliver.
Oh, I'm sure he could fire it in there. He'd love to, man. I'm not sure when he pitched last, but I'm sure he would have a whole lot of fun getting on the mound again and seeing what he's got.
Yeah, the roster this year, I think, other than the players that were able to come up to the Rockies and kind of have a short stay, but still make an impact, like the Nolan Jones, Elihuris Montero, even a Hunter Goodman, there was just so many players that I'm not going to say have a chip on their shoulder, but probably should, because they're really good players and they haven't always been given the opportunity, like a Jimmy Herron and a Coco Montes. Aaron Schunk as well. I know, high round pick, but still, he's doing his thing each year at each and every level. One of the guys also at the top of that list, besides a Whitton Bernard, who we know that story, and he's wonderful. But a player that, to a man, everyone on the roster who has played with him always brings this guy up, and I hope someday he does get a chance to call himself officially a big leaguer, and that's Hunter Stovall. He's a guy that no matter what you ask him to do, he will go out there and do it to the best of his abilities. And those abilities, frankly, are still pretty very good.
Oh, 100%. He was our defensive player of the year this year. He made a lot of web gyms at second, short, and third as well. That's the one thing about our infield. Our infield was so diverse this year. It's hard to underestimate that for sure. But Hunter Stovall is great defensively, plus glove. He's got an arm that can probably stick it short long term, absolutely. He's just a baseball grinder, man. He's out there every single day getting early work in with Meacham and Checo in the batting cages and in the infield. I think he's definitely got a chance to make it to the big leagues one day. He has all the intangibles, great leader in the clubhouse. So, Hunter Stovall is one of the great guys on the team this year for sure.
Yeah, leader is definitely one of those words that I hear a lot when people bring him up, kind of unprovoked, of like, hey, who are your buddies down in AAA? And, who are some of the guys that you were able to learn a little bit extra about on your progression to the big leagues? And Hunter Stovall always comes up as one of those leaders. One of the leaders in bourbon is Breckenridge Distillery, the official bourbon of the Denver Broncos. I tell you what, any of the big Isotopes fans down there in Albuquerque, it might be a 6.5 hour drive, depending on how much pedal you put to the metal there and how fast you're speeding. But look, get yourself in there. You have a chance to win 2 tickets and sit in the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite for the Broncos-Chargers game at the end of the year on New Year's Eve. Post your favorite Broncos photos on Instagram or Facebook using hashtag Broncos Bourbon. Do that by the end of November, because on December 1st, they're going to narrow it down to 10 favorites. So, hey, if you're down in Albuquerque, you've got an entire market of folks that might be voting for you. So maybe this is just rigged for someone down there in New Mexico to win this entire competition. But go ahead and do that. Hashtag Broncos Bourbon. You can get at all the Broncos tailgates and DNVR bar watch parties all year long. The Breckenridge Distillery spirits are available in all 50 states because, as we say, at Pray, anywhere. At Bet365, they don't do ordinary. They believe that every sport should be epic. See for yourself when you sign up today, because you're going to get $365 in bonus bets when you bet just $1. And now we even got some DNVR custom bets. And the lines might be changing just a little bit on it, because we have, will the Broncos claim 3 divisional wins this season? Could be interesting. Right with DNVR, place your bets. Download the app, deposit $10, and claim $365 in bonus bets as soon as you place a bet for $1. Download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR when you sign up. Whatever sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Susie Hunter, my partner in crime, when she was down in Albuquerque, one of the players she caught up with, who was quiet for the first half of the season because he was hurt, unfortunately, but is still definitely a name to know. Willie McIver, again, missed a lot with injuries, but he is a bona fide hype man who will talk about his pitchers really well. I got a chance to catch up with him at the Arizona Fall League a couple years ago, and he first started coming on the radar. And I think he's a guy that, we also could see in the majors next year. How are you liking what McIver is able to bring to the clubhouse, even when he was hurt, and then especially when he was able to come back onto the field?
Absolutely, man. He's got tons of energy, and he is just going to light up a room whenever he walks in it, man. That's one of the great things about McIver is, when he's walking in, he's loud. He's always engaging with his teammates everywhere. You always see a smile on his face. The dude is just energetic, and he just loves to bring that kind of energy to the field each and every night. Super great catcher defensively, back behind the plate, calls a great game, knows how to handle a pitching staff, understands the different moments throughout a game when he's got to go out to the mound, talk to his pitcher, just overall great defensively. Can't say enough of good things about him, honestly, man.
Before we get to the guys who came up in the final month or week of the season, Julio Carreras, Drew Romo, couple other dudes, and as well as Goodman, Nolan Jones, Montero.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy who's kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit and put his name back on the map, especially when you consider the fact only 24 years old, pretty much the youngest player on the roster who saw regular playing time this year. Daniel Montano, 24 years old, outfielder, was a big prospect. Obviously, when he signed as an international free agent, that transition period can take a lot longer for those guys who come over and are professional at 16, 17 years old. But he really put it together this year in a big way.
Yeah, his August was absolutely lights out, man. I think he was at one point slugging close to 900. Had OPS around 900. Just absolutely lit up the world. I think he had 7 triples this year. For a guy who doesn't have plus speed, that's phenomenal. when he puts the bat on the baseball, it's going to go far, and it's going to be a very high exit velocity as well. He had one of the sneakier good years on the club, that's for sure. Certainly didn't play the entire year with the club, but when he was out there on the field, you saw his impact both offensively and defensively.
Nolan Jones, Elihuris Montero were players that maybe need a little seasoning, maybe need a little kick in the butt and a reminder that, hey, just because it's your time doesn't mean you're going to get that time. You still have to earn it. Jones, struggled a little bit in spring training, so that made sense why he started the year with you guys in AAA. Montero, was in the midst of a position change, transitioning from third baseman to first baseman, but both of those guys, in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're looking and going, oh my God, like these numbers are video game-esque, and they were just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, those two guys stood out from everybody else on our team or the opposing team throughout their tenure with the Isotopes this year. I'll start with Nolan Jones, man. I mean, his ability to throw the baseball in from outfield, not only on target, but with that highest speed, I mean, that is so much fun to watch, especially from my view in the press box. You can see the entire high home view of it. And he's just an absolute grinder as well. He's a true professional what he does. He's always asking questions, trying to get better in every aspect of his game. Super fun guy to be around in the clubhouse. In Montero, dude just mashes, man. He hits the ball hard when he gets a hold of it, man. He was leading, I think it was like a 30 or 40 game stretch earlier in the year. He was leading all of minor league baseball in home runs and RBI. So when he catches fire, man, he's one of the better hitters in all the game. That's for sure. It's only a matter of time before he really breaks out, I think.
I think so too. I think he's a hitter. I think he's a hitter, and it's just about finding a spot for him on the field, first base or DH, whatever it is. But he can rake. So I hadn't thought about this until now, and talking with you. How many outfield assists did Nolan Jones have in Albuquerque? Well, if my numbers are correct here, did he have 4?
I can double check that real quick, but I'm going to need a quick second if you give me it.
And that's what I'm seeing on MILB. 1 in left field, 3 in right field, in not a lot of time. Not a lot of time in the outfield because he had 17 starts at third base, 6 at first base. So he's got 21 this season. Look, the Rockies petitioned for him to be a rookie because basically he was given an extra service day, which put him exactly at the limit. And he got sent down that day, so that wasn't a day of service. So went back to 44. The Rockies need to petition and say, let's get 4 more outfield assists for him. Let's give him 21 on the year. Why not? Man, yeah, he's got a cannon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, StatCast was really, really getting him down here around 95 to 100 miles an hour. So when you're throwing that fast, I mean, it's only a matter of time before you're going to get that call. I mean, because it was just an absolute rope, a laser, however you want to describe it. It's the thing of beauty to watch, that's for sure.
So I cover the Rockies. That being said, I'm still looking at AAA, AA. I'm looking even further down, not necessarily for guys that can help the Rockies right now, but just to say, hey, here, what's coming up in the pipeline, or sometimes to say someone's hurt, someone's not getting the job done, who could replace them? Do you guys do that in Albuquerque at AAA? Like look at the Hartford guys and go, ooh, this guy seems like he's going to be on his way soon because he's tearing up the Eastern League just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly watching their stats and watching who's on the roster and who's doing well and kind of what guys are, going to impact us and kind of how we're going to see a roster construction based on what's going up with the big league club and what's going on with us. You got to keep an eye on that for sure. I mean, I think at one point Kyle Datchers, he had a couple walk-offs in a few weeks span. Obviously, you saw what Goodman was doing all year down there. We were just chomping at the bit to get him up in the Albuquerque because obviously, I mean, if you're hitting that many home runs in AA in Hartford, imagine what he could do at elevation up here in Albuquerque. So we were certainly excited to get him on the club for a few weeks. But to your point, absolutely, man, you got to keep an eye out in the yard goats for sure.
Yes, if I worked for the Isotopes, the first thing I would say to you every day, Forest, for probably a couple of months there in the summer would have been, Goodman today? No. Goodman today? All right. And then good morning. What's going on? Hey, how was your weekend? All that.
Get your pleasantries over with. Yeah.
Exactly. But the first thing, Goodman today? You didn't hear anything? All right. No, he was fantastic. As you mentioned, Kyle Datchers, Braxton Fulford, Julio Carreras came up in the final month, Drew Romo. Didn't get to see a ton of these guys, but you probably will next year, as will
Oh yeah.
Rockies fans. What can you tell us about some of those guys going forward?
Yeah, I mean Drew Romo, he's a complete player, man. A switch hitter, really good behind the plate, calls good games, super smooth framing job as well. I think he had a recent interview with Thomas Harding, how he's describing how he just moved to the one knee stance in spring training this year. Watching him take some BP, had some pretty good opposite field pop from the left side, which was amazing to see from him. That's for sure. Julio Carreras, super smooth up the middle, um, pretty good hitter as well. Didn't see a whole bunch of Fulford. We saw a couple of at bats of him, um, but I mean, a lot of exciting players coming up through the Rockies system. That's for sure.
Very exciting. Yeah, I wanna talk about some of the pitchers there because
Yeah.
you mentioned about guys going up and down, and the rotation I think was decimated at one point because the Rockies rotation was decimated, and it was hey, sorry Isotopes, but figure it out somehow, some way. But one thing you don't have to worry about figuring out is where to go to get the kind love. Excited to have them as our official partner at DNVR, supporting another local brand, one of the first dispensaries in Colorado, established in 2010, known for cultivating some of the highest quality cannabis in the state. Visit one of their stores in Cherry Creek or North Denver. Mention DNVR and receive a DNVR exclusive discount of 25% off all the Kind Love flower, pre-rolls, and their turbo joint line. Visit their website at kindlove.com for their full extensive menu and online ordering. And now DNVR, that code is going to work for all your deliveries as well. Fubo TV, that you can get anywhere, and it's amazing. Sit back, relax, enjoy your Kind Love, turn on some Fubo TV. It just rules. That's pretty much how I describe my experience with it over the last year, watching, some Nuggets games. Postseason was great. I had the Fubo on while I'm watching Rockies, MILB TV, watching the Isotopes, World Baseball Classics. That's where I went for that. 140 plus live channels of sports shows, movies, and news. Stream live from any device. That's probably one of the best parts. You can watch your local teams while you travel and watch all your favorite college football and NFL with Fubo. Go to www.fubotv.com/DNVR to sign up and save 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. That's the way to go. That's where you probably can watch the Furman Paladins.
Oh, 100%. They're on there somewhere.
They got to be. Man, Jeff Criswell, another one of those players who you say only 24. And, we know there's some big leaguers that come up and they're making an impact at 21 years old, 22. That's not the same trajectory for everybody. But when you look at the PCL and how many like quadruple A guys there might be, or players that are still 30 that are trying to break through or have somewhat of a career, to see a guy at 24 years old be the backbone of the starting rotation like Jeff Criswell, when there were all of those guys going back and forth I-25 between Albuquerque to Denver. Jeff Criswell, 3 pitchers were younger than him this year, and they combined for 22 innings. So basically the youngest guy on the staff, led the team in innings, and we know that the ERAs can get inflated a little bit. Yep. But you're there, you're seeing him, and you're not always watching that box score and the stat line. What are some of the things that you're looking at or that you've seen from him that can provide some more hope to Rockies fans?
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's had 135 strikeouts this year, which I believe was third most in the PCL. 117 innings or 121 innings, which is 7th most in the PCL as well. So he posted each and every time he was called to, which is a super underrated quality to have as a pitcher. You're just going out there every 5th day, every 6th day, whatever it might be. He's coming out there for sure. Super solid 3-pitch mix as well. Throws a high fastball up in the zone extremely well. Really good slider down and into lefties, and good changeup to righties in as well. So there's a lot of positive things to look from Criswell this year. I think he's got a pretty high ceiling to going forward for the Rockies.
And considering that one of the things that the Rockies need, I mean, all teams need it, but in a weird way, one of the greatest abilities a player can have is availability. And he just
100%.
He's just one of those big-bodied starters that you just go, no, you throw him out there. You can rely on him, and I think it's for that reason. He'll get a major league invite next year. And I think while there are some guys ahead of him, maybe in the depth chart, that are going to be healthy going into next year, I think because we know how it goes with starting pitching, just about anywhere they get hurt, he'll get some of those opportunities next year. I was really glad, in fact, to see Noah Davis get some opportunities.
Oh yeah.
He looked good. He looked good with the Rockies, before, he got hurt and got sent back down. But in 14 starts in AAA, 4.50 ERA, that's almost a no-hitter. Did he have a no-hitter every night? I mean, technically speaking,
he did have
those are great
5 in the
numbers.
third no-hit innings. I think it was in August at one point. Yeah, he had a stretch in August and early September where he was absolutely lights out. He had like a 2.5 ERA or something like that. Just super consistent with his fastball. Was in the zone a ton, getting a lot of swing and misses. I think he's got a slider and pretty good changeup as well, good curveball. So the dude's got a super nice mix. And he's just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think he can be a dude for the Rockies going forward. Kind of similar to what we saw in 21 and then glimpses last year for Ryan Feltner. And you go, hey, wait, hold on a second. There is still some more projectability, or there still is some more progress and development at the big league level. I think that can be the case for Davis as well. On the reliever side, a sub-4 ERA for a relief pitcher in 2023 in the PCL. Unheard of. Gavin Hollowell, great job. I think he's kind of the next Justin Lawrence, where people might not be paying attention, and then all of a sudden you go, whoa, this guy's nasty. And Tommy Doyle, who, I think got some recognition this year for his work out of the bullpen.
Yeah, for sure. Tommy Doyle was our pitcher of the year for the Isotopes. And a common theme with Tommy Doyle, not Justin Lawrence, Jeff Criswell, and Gavin Hollowell, all really super tall dudes, great extension on the baseball, gets it closer to home plate. That's such an underrated part of the game as well as a pitcher. But yeah, Tommy Doyle is super solid for us all year, 8 saves, top 10 in the PCL. Gavin Hollowell is super lights out for us as well. Extremely got a ton of life on his fastball, wipeout slider. So a lot of positives coming from the bullpen. I think they can impact the Rockies throughout 2024 next year.
All right, before we shift gears to talk about the Arizona Fall League, I think Rockies fans want a good story or get an update or hear a little bit about Jordan Pacheco, a guy that, just
one more guy I want to hit on too, actually, before we go move on, is Tanner Gordon. Dude had absolutely a phenomenal game last Friday. 7 shutout innings, 3 hits, 8 strikeouts. Just a dominant 4-pitch mix when he's got all of his pitches working. Fastball is going to sit around 95. He's got a little sink piece, a little cutter, and a changeup. He is a fun guy to watch, and seeing him develop over the past month or so and kind of get his legs with the Rockies has been a lot of fun. So I expect him to kind of make some noise coming in the spring and early 2024 as well.
Yeah, he was kind of a pleasant surprise because I think he got off to a rough start a little bit, maybe with Hartford and with you guys a bit. But yeah, seven shutout innings, and we even talked to him in Chicago where it was one of those of like, hey, what's the word? What'd you get from Pedro Lopez? What did Pilo say about Tanner Gordon's performance last night? So yeah, that was impressive.
Oh yeah, he propelled us to our first home shutout since April of 2019 against OKC Dodgers on Friday night. So that was a whole bunch of fun to watch. The dude just got it all. Super cool, a cool and calm demeanor, hard worker. A lot of positives to say about Tanner Gordon going forward. That's for sure.
We got a season in which there are 3 candidates, Rookie of the Year award candidates for the Rockies. I don't know if all 3 of them will get any recognition or will get any third place votes, but there was a time in which, the Rockies had a couple of those guys. That was Jordan Pacheco's rookie year. He did get some acknowledgement for what he was able to do at the plate, play some catcher, some third base, doing a little bit of everything. So he'll always have a special place in Rockies fans' hearts. And, hitting coach here for the second year in a row. Got his own bobblehead from you guys.
Fans love that.
Yes.
Yeah, Jordan Pacheco, he's an absolute phenomenal person, man. One of my favorite people I've gotten the chance to work with over the past couple of years here at the Isotopes. And just the amount of positivity I hear from players, hitting with him, learning from him. I know he is just an absolute great guy to have in the clubhouse and great guy to have for the Rockies to help develop these players because, he knows how to hit. You can just tell by the slash lines of all the guys and as a team as well. So we're one of the best hitting clubs in all of AAA. You got to think Jordan Pacheco's got a big hand in that.
Yeah, Rockies love being loyal to their guys when they get it done. And we love being loyal to those companies that are local. That's why we've partnered up with Breck Brew, the official brewski of DNVR. I mean, we're talking high wire hops from the North Fork Valley. Has a delicate citrus hop aroma. The Broncos country. That's the way to go for this entire month. It's made with 100% renewable energy. Find out where you can get it. You can get it in Albuquerque. Hartford, you can't. But Albuquerque, Spokane, and Fresno, you can get some Breck Brew, specifically Broncos country. Go to breckbrew.com, find a Breck Brew near you. And if you're down in Albuquerque, just like if you're in Colorado, we get some sunny days all year long. So get your shades from Shady Rays. They're amazing. It's worth mentioning, too, their buy one, get one free offer when you use promo code DNVR is wonderful. Lost and broken replacement policy. But it's also worth mentioning that, together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing some much needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays' impact, from building playsets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS, the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it and for years to come. So make sure you go to shadyrays.com, use that code DNVR, go to Park Meadows Mall for 50% off 2 or more pair of shades. All right. Arizona Fall League. The rosters were announced, and you're the perfect guy to have on. For folks that might not know what the Arizona Fall League is, we cover it every year. I was out there in 2021. It's wonderful. You've worked there. You were
yes, sir.
One of the communications folks, along with a good friend of the show and of mine, Justin Wicks, who did an amazing job in 2021 and parlayed that and a job with the Orioles organization. What is the Arizona Fall League?
So the Arizona Fall League is essentially what they call the finishing school for prospects. That's kind of been their motto since 1993. From October to early November, some of the best prospects in all of minor league baseball will make their stop there and kind of, refine their tools that might be coming out there to get some extra innings, get some extra at-bats, work on one particular thing. You have 6 teams, and each team is comprised of 5 MLB teams. So you'll have the Rockies, obviously with being at Salt River. You'll have the Rockies and D-backs will each send 7 or 8 players to the Salt River Raptors, and then they'll battle against the Raptors, the Solar Sox, the Javelinas, and whatnot. But it's one of the best leagues in all of baseball, if you ask me. Besides the MLB playoffs, I think it's probably my favorite place to go watch a game because it's so relaxed, so intimate. Some of the best prospects in all the land. Can't miss it, that's for sure.
You go to a game, and then first off, you can get like a season pass, I think, for $100. Like you can go literally every game.
And there's 3 games a day for like a month, or like 5 weeks. So like you can go to a game at 12:30 and then go 6:30 at night. So I mean, you cannot beat that for October.
It's kind of baseball,
especially.
Yeah. Baseball heaven there. It's kind of just the right time of the year to go to the Phoenix area. On October 14th, they got a triple-header at Goodyear Park, which is great, and a doubleheader on October 28th at Hohokam Stadium in Mesa, a ballpark that I love because it's not so old, but it's just old compared to all the other ones, and there's just something different about it. It's the A's, and so I like that stadium a lot. Yeah, Arizona Fall League, a lot of fun. If you go see the Salt River Rafters, so it's right where they play it in the stadium, not on the backfield, but in the actual stadium, where the Rockies have their spring training games. You're going to see some Tigers prospects, Pirates, Atlanta, Diamondbacks, Rockies. In fact, Tigers are sending 2 top 100 prospects in right-handed pitcher Jackson Jobe and second baseman Jace Young. But for the Rockies, they've got 4 of their top 30 prospects, according to MLB Pipeline. And the guys that maybe not in the top 30, they're right on the outside looking in and definitely could make some waves and contribute. We're talking about Drew Romo, Sterling Thompson, Benny Montgomery, those 3 hitters right there. That's enough to probably make you look at flights on Southwest. I got to fly into to Sky Harbor. And the pitchers, Alec Barger, Jaden Hill, Chris McMahon, Juan Mejia, and Case Williams. That's a good crop of prospects.
Oh, it's a lot of good names right there for sure. All of them had a great season at AA. Drew Romo obviously was the only one who got to AAA. So I'm definitely looking forward to making my way west to Phoenix and get a little sneak peek at some of these guys who I'm probably going to get to see a whole lot of next year here in Albuquerque.
Any chance we were going to see maybe like the next Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan was in the Arizona Fall League.
Oh, yeah. 94, 95. That's for sure, man. Yeah. I don't know. Reggie Crawford is a guy who kind of caught my eye. He's a two-way player. He pitched the entire minor league season for I think it was in High A. And he's going to be a first baseman in the Arizona Fall League. So maybe you know, another. I'm not going to say Shohei Ohtani, but it's cool to see another guy kind of take that path and see how he does.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were giving him the opportunity to kind of go both ways, at least for a little while. Even that is so hard to do. I mean, Brendan
Oh yeah,
McCarthy, I think, got a shot for a little bit. Hunter Green, when he first got drafted, is like, all right, let's just go to pitching. So yeah, so you
yeah,
might see something special there.
yeah. He had 4 at bats. I think I saw during the season, and 3 of the 4 went for extra bases, including a home run. So he has the tools, that's for sure.
And the cool part is, I think, if you go down to watch a game, again, you might not know these names just yet, but you will early. If you're like in a fantasy,
Oh yeah,
if you're in a dynasty league, you're getting the inside skinny on kind of not only how good these players are, but how do their teams value them? Because not everybody gets to participate in the Arizona Fall League. It's the guys that say, hey, we're going to be putting a lot of time and effort and money into your development, and we only got 7 or 8 slots. So this is the special group that get to do that. So you'll learn some of those names, and then you'll go back and look 2 or 3 years. That's my favorite part about keeping score and at a game, looking at my program years later and go, holy smokes, look who I saw play, or it was his first game. And that's very true in the Arizona Fall League with, oh my God, I saw this prospect. I didn't even realize that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think about 60% of players who play in the Arizona Fall League will go on to make their major league debuts. I think since about 1993, almost half of the MVPs have come from the Arizona Fall League. I'll just throw out some names from when I was there in 2018. We had Vladimir Guerrero Jr., someone named Peter Alonso. He still went by Peter at that point. Jazz Chisholm, Dalton Varsho, Nico Horner, Justin Lawrence, Sam Hilliard, Cole Tucker, Luis Robert. So, I mean, each roster is just littered with guys who are going to make a huge impact at the big league club and, find their way on a roster at some point.
Joshua Fuentes, you forgot a name on
Oh,
that
of
list.
course. My God, yeah. I actually saw Nolan Arenado at a game there one time watching his cousin, so I don't know how I forgot that one.
And that's the thing. A lot of guys live in the Phoenix area, right? If that's where their spring training is. They're working out still in the off season. And so, yeah, they show up to these games. You never know who you might bump into. Forrest, man, this has been wonderful. Punch your first ticket as a guest. You will have several more on the show. At a certain point, you can cash it in for a drink here at the bar or a shirt. We'll work it out later. But go ahead and plug away or say whatever it is you'd like to say. The floor is yours here. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the offer, man. It was a whole lot of fun. If you haven't been to Isotopes Park, come on down. RGCU Field, March 29th is only 186 days away from our opening game of 2024. Love to see you out there and pack the park. Whole lot of fun for everybody, all kinds of, big baseball fans, kids. Everybody under the sun is going to have a great time at Isotopes Park. So come on down to Albuquerque and get to experience it for yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Forrest. Glad to have you on.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, what else we got on tap this week? Final week of the season for the Colorado Rockies. 4 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Minnesota Twins. So it's not going to get any easier. 2 teams who have already clinched. But got an article up over at the DNVR.com. It's unlocked. Go ahead and check it out about what these opportunities mean. And we've been talking about that all second half about opportunities, but specific situational opportunities came up all throughout the weekend in Chicago that I was able to witness. And despite the fact that, 99 losses, we've got a new franchise record and a 7-game losing streak and an 0-6 road trip, only the 8th time losing all 6 games or more of a road trip, first time since April of 2021. When they were swept in San Francisco and in LA. And actually, the first sweep between the Cubs and Rockies since 2012, and the Rockies swept the Cubs at Coors Field. So kind of an anomaly, one of the second longest active non-sweep series. But specific moments in situations where these opportunities are going to be good for not just rookies like Brenton Doyle and Nolan Jones and Ezequiel Tovar, but guys that are still working on developing at the big league level and trying to establish themselves, like Justin Lawrence and Brendan Rodgers. So go ahead and take a peek at that. We don't have any probables. We have possibles. We don't even have the probables. This is just what is lining up for days tomorrow, Tuesday, doubleheader, 1:10 and 6:40. You do need 2 tickets if you're going to go out to the ballpark for that. Chase Anderson and Ryan Feltner for the Rockies. Feltner's first start at Coors Field at least next time he ascends the bump since that line drive on May 13th. So that's going to be great to be there for that. Looking forward to see what kind of ovation Rockies fans are able to give him. And for the Dodgers on Tuesday, Ryan Pepio and Bobby Miller. On Wednesday, possibly at 6:40, Noah Davis and Emmett Sheehan. And on Thursday, another night game. Kind of sticking it to those Dodgers. We got an off day on Monday. Then we're going to play 2 games in the final week of the season on Tuesday. And the getaway day is a getaway night. Hey, man, payback can be a you-know-what. So deal with that, Dodgers. Chris Flexen versus Ryan Yarbrough before the weekend, and 3 games against the Twins. And then that's it until the beginning of next year. Some of the Windy City stories that came out of Chicago. Had a wonderful time there for 3 days, getting to experience Wrigley Field. I mean, I'd been there a couple times as a fan, but wow, just seeing the renovation of what they were able to do, and just kind of opened up a couple things. Just a wonderful ballpark. You really need to experience it. You might not want to experience it next year because they go back in April. September is great. They went there in September last year as well as this year. Temperature was like just perfect. If you're in the sun, short sleeves, shorts. If you're in the shade, maybe you throw on a little jacket, but just absolutely perfect, not humid. Windy City stories. Frank the Tank ran into Chris Bryant when KB and the boys were at a spot on the Chicago River Thursday night. When I talked to Bryant about that, along with the standing ovation that he got, I said, so I hear you ran into a celebrity. And without skipping a beat, he said, yep, Frank the Tank. It's like, oh, all right. So Chris Bryant, Chris, I think, noticed Frank, and it wasn't Frank noticing KB. So they kind of have a little bit of a friendship there. Standing ovation on Friday at Wrigley for Chris Bryant. Not his first game back at Wrigley, but first came back as a member of the Rockies, because if you remember in 2021, traded to the Giants and immediately came back for a series in the second half. So not a lot of time to let it kind of sink in, but 2 years later for, Cubs fans to remember him. And obviously they should. If you remember Cody from CHGO when he was out, like talking about how important Chris Bryant is to the history of the Chicago Cubs. Like, yeah, they're not going to forget in 2 years. So that really, I think, touched Chris Bryant emotionally, not just because of what he was able to do on the field for the Cubbies, but behind the scenes, how he treats people and how, he leads by example in that way, and just tries to be a good person. He still is like that behind the scenes in the Rockies clubhouse. So, maybe this will give him a boost into the offseason. Again, if you have injuries and you get hurt, it just is what it is. But I think if there's ever a moment in which Chris Bryant wants to go out there and contribute and be healthy and kind of take back the story of his career, the full picture of his career, not just when he was in Chicago, but the whole thing. I think this moment could be really big for him. And it was huge for, I think, the young guys too, to see a player like that get acknowledged. Obviously, we had the tribute to Miguel Cabrera earlier this year. And every time Nolan Arenado comes back, fans are warm. The standing ovations kind of have gone by the wayside. DJ LeMahieu came back for the first time this year since 2018, got the video package, was acknowledged by the fans. I think it's important for these young guys to see, like, hey, what you do on the field and the impact that you have on people behind the scenes and the fans when you go out and sign autographs, like that has a serious impact. So there's a lot of play with that. And so it was good for the young guys to see that. It was the final home game at Wrigley Field, and it was all about the groundskeepers. I can't say that I was hoping Bill Murray was going to show up if they make it to the postseason, which that's where they're at right now. Sure, maybe he does pop in there. Kathleen Madigan was there. Really good stand-up comedian was there on Saturday night. But the final home game was all about the groundskeepers. Get this. They got to take batting practice on the field before the game, which was great. They sang the national anthem in a moment in which, not the national anthem. No, they didn't do that. No, they got to sing Take You to the Ball Game. And they all ran out from different corners of the field. And it was very strange. Like this swarming of people. It's like, oh God, what's happening? But it was just the groundskeepers running over to the mic to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And then even afterwards, employees got to go down on the field, run the bases. The groundskeepers were there, throwing baseballs, sliding in the dirt. They did not want to go home. They were probably also going to be very sore from all the activity that they were doing. But I thought that was a really cool touch for the Cubs to allow their employees to really have their moment. And it was also strange that it was 3 consecutive day games. It was great. It was actually really great. Big difference between 3 straight day games and 3 straight night games. I think because for the day games, it was, all right, you got to get out and early, get a jump start. So got to make sure you go to bed at a reasonable time the night before. And then when the game's over, you're like, I want to go play, but let me get my work done, and allows you to focus and probably be a little bit more efficient. So that was nice. That's the one thing I heard from some of the folks at CHGO, Ryan and Herrera and Jared Willis, who cover the Cubs, and the fact that you can have a life in Chicago because there's so many of the day games. And it's like, yeah, no, this is a structured kind of schedule rather than, being at the ballpark for 10 hours and then sleeping for 6 and then back at the ballpark. No one's complaining, but it's a nice setup that they got there in Chicago. We'll see if their sleep patterns don't get screwed up just a little bit by a deep run into October, as the Cubs have put together now 7 winning seasons in the last 9 years. Not bad for a Cubs organization who were tanking. We're trying to be bad. So that's what I got on the show today. I mean, this was a fun one. Really appreciate Forrest and his first appearance on the show. Looking forward to having him back, talking more prospects, talking some more promotions and some minor league business. We got a long off season ahead of us, but we still got one more week left of baseball, and we got some great coverage. Both on Twitter, here on YouTube. On Twitter, it's at DNVR_Rockies, at Patrick D. Lyons is where I can be found. And despite all the momentum we have today, look, as we say here in the game, that momentum is only as good as the next show. So, of course, it will be a good one. Not on Tuesday, not for the doubleheader. If there's just no time for a show, it will be Wednesday, Susie, at 1 p.m. right here on the DNVR Sports Channel, live on YouTube.